For a deficit dumbbell hip thrust or extended range of motion hip thrust or thruster, whatever you want to call it, essentially you're going to be doing more of a range of motion for the hip thrust exercise than you would do even with just a regular hip thrust. So you want your shoulders set up in your normal hip thrust position, your bench should be 12 to 14 inches off of the ground, and the lower part of the shoulder blades should be lined up with the top edge of the bench. The way that you set up your riser, whatever it is you're using, I'm using an aerobic step, but a stack of plates, a stack of books, any kind of box or lift that's a couple of inches off the ground to start is totally fine. And then as you get a little bit stronger and you can handle more range of motion, you can go a little bit higher. You are going to set that up far enough away that you can put your feet in your normal hip thrust position, but not so much that you're having to reach way out, and not so close that you feel like you can't even move. So it should be right around the spot where when you lift your hips, your shins end up about parallel to the ground. So now a quick note about the height of your deficit. If your feet are up so high that whenever you do your hip thrust, your hips can't touch the ground, eventually there's like diminishing returns there. So you can do it with your feet really high to where you don't touch the ground in case you really want to stretch on those glutes, but you only need to go so high. I mean, off the ground is off the ground, whether you're 1 inch or 6 inches. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So once you have your bench and your riser set up, you'll take your dumbbell, place it on your hips. Remember, you can always place a pad underneath the dumbbell if the dumbbell is cutting into your hip bones. Shoulder blades are on your hip thrust bench, feet are on the riser. You're going to lift your hips, try to keep the chin slightly tucked, rib cages down by tightening through the abs. We're tucking the hips under. We're not allowing the rib cage to flare or that emphasis to go into the mid or lower back. So this is happening here where you're really squeezing through those glutes, and that's just going to keep the emphasis on your glutes and off of the back. If for some reason you are not getting that contraction correct and you're feeling a lot of it in your lower back, the range of motion may not be doing you any good, so you may need to either take the weight off and try just body weight or drop it down to a regular dumbbell or body weight hip thrust.